Welcome to Unit 7, Lesson 2. So we are continuing on. Yesterday we talked about Mendel and the peas, and now we're going to talk a little bit about calculating the probability of genetic traits passing from one generation to the next. So you probably remember from middle school, but we are going to talk about something called Punnett squares. A Punnett square is a chart like this that shows all the possible ways alleles can cross in order to see what the offspring could end up looking like or having genetically. So in a genetic cross, all the combinations of alleles that parents can pass to the offspring are based on probability. So for example, flower color, if we use capital R, just because R's are easier to tell apart than P's or C's, purple is dominant, so we write it as the capital R, over the white, which is recessive. So if we were to fill this box in, and yours is a text box too, you can fill in as I go. So we take this R, just like the box method in math, and we bring it down into this box. And we get the capital R from there. Then we take this lowercase r from right there, it comes into this box, and we end up with capital lowercase. Now for this box, we're going to take this R right over the top of it, bring it down. This R to the left is going to come all the way over, slide over, just like the box method. Down here, this R comes down, capital. This lowercase r comes across. And last one, this capital R comes down, and this lowercase r comes across. So we end up with all four, end up having heterozygous, remember that word, capital R, lowercase r. So now, let's remember our vocab, and you can insert a text box, and we're going to calculate for two hybrids, meaning capital lowercase. So we can stick with R's. You can pick whatever letter you want, but that one we'll say is a capital R. I'm going to just write at the top for two hybrids. It's going to be capital R, lowercase r, crossed with a capital R, lowercase r. So I'll put that there as a placeholder just so we remember. Make that font a little bit bigger. There we go. And I'm just going to put that next to my two hybrids so I can find it again. Change the color. So here, now I'm going to type in new text box just to keep it less confusing. If I cross two hybrids, this one's a capital R. Space it out. That one's a lowercase r. I'll do a text box here too. That one's also a capital R. Space it out, lowercase r. So we're going to do what we did before. So this time we're going to take this capital R and into the box. Capital R comes down. That capital R right there comes across. We have a double capital R, double dominant. This lowercase r comes down. This r comes across. We conventionally write that uppercase before lowercase, just like when you start a word or a sentence. So capital R followed by, lowercase r, there and there. Down here, we take this capital R there, this lowercase r there, and then we take this, and we end up there. Okay, so that's our calculation for two hybrids. Over here, let's go ahead and do that for a hybrid and a white. So we know the hybrid, we write like that. I'll write our abbreviations out just so we have them. So there's our hybrid times our white. And we know about white flowers, they're recessive, so they end up getting that. So that's what our equation's going to be. We'll make that a different color. And I'll add new text box. We'll fill this out. This one, let's do our hybrid up at the top. Either side doesn't really matter, but capital R, lowercase r, that covers that. And I'm going to have to insert a new box so that it doesn't capitalize that. And a lowercase r. So when we fill this box in, here's our capital, here's our lowercase. Lowercase up top, lowercase to the side. Capital from there, bring it down. Lowercase there, and lowercase, lowercase. Okay, so now we'll slide back over. And if purple is dominant in terms of flower color, what color is a hybrid flower going to look like? So what color are these flowers going to be? Answer that one on your own. And what color flower will we get if we cross two white flowering pea plants? So you could probably do number 2 without doing your equation if you think it through. So what do we know about white flowers and how they're written? I'll give you a starter right there. Oops. So Based on that, what flower are all of those offspring going to be? Write it right here, and we will go over it tomorrow or Monday. So now we're talking about human eye color. So we've been talking about peas before, which are really simple. But if we switch to human eye color, we know we can have brown eyes, we can have green eyes, we can have blue eyes, we can have hazel eyes. There are more options than this, but for argument's sake, we are going to work with brown versus blue eyes because there's a clear pattern of dominance, meaning if you have that brown-eyed gene, capital B, the brown eyes will always overpower that recessive blue-eyed gene. The only way to end up having blue eyes is to have two recessive blue-eyed genes. So that makes it really easy for us to do Punnett squares for a human trait. Like eye color. So, two heterozygous parents, we write that by, we switch to B's, capital B for brown, and in this case, brown and blue start with the same letter, but usually you do it in terms of the dominant. So capital B would be dominant brown, lowercase b would be recessive brown, meaning blue, but it makes sense that they're both B's for brown and blue eyes. Okay, we're going to come down here. We're crossing two of the same type of parent. So we're going to have capital lowercase once again. And I'm going to let you do this square on your own. We'll go over it together tomorrow. Okay, a, quote, pure brown-eyed parent. When I say, quote, pure, I mean two of the same. So capital, capital. And we're going to cross them with a blue-eyed parent. And we know that blue is recessive. So I'm doing new text boxes because if I try to use the same one, it's probably going to try to capitalize that B. So we know that blue eyes have to have the two little B's. So that's why this is a pure, quote, brown-eyed parent. So capital, capital times a blue-eyed parent, which is lowercase, lowercase. And then we've done this one. Oh, we haven't done this one yet. So a heterozygous parent is capital, lowercase. And now we're going to cross that parent with a blue-eyed parent. So a lowercase and a lowercase. Okay, so go ahead and try those Punnett squares on your own. I am going to post another video on YouTube explaining how to do Punnett squares if you're stuck. Two more vocab words, and then we're almost finished with new material for this unit. So we have the phenotype and the genotype. So phenotype, we can remember phenotype is like physical appearance, the way it looks, because of the way its traits are expressed. So a phenotype for my hair color would be brown. The genotype, the genetic makeup, is the alleles, so the letters we were writing on the page before. So the genotype for my hair, we don't know if I have some recessive hair color traits. I know we haven't talked about how hair color is passed, but we know for sure it looks brown. It might just not be brown genetically in terms of capital, capital, or lowercase, lowercase. So if we go back to this one, these little letters are the genotypes. The phenotype for this set of eye colors would be brown because we have a capital B, so that makes these brown eyes. We know the phenotype is brown, they look brown. We know for this one the genotype is heterozygous, but if we were just looking at these eyes on this person, we wouldn't know that they have this hidden secret B. We would know, however, if someone has blue eyes, we know their genotype because it has to be two lower cases, otherwise it doesn't make sense. I will be honest, I don't know why there's a Punnett square on this slide, so enjoy it if you want it. All right, so let's do a little recap. So green peas, capital G, is dominant. I know because I'm giving you that capital, so that's what we've been operating with this unit. Yellow peas are recessive pea pods, so green peas, yellow peas. And we write that with a little g, which means not green. I gave it away, but go ahead and summarize. Based on these letters, is green or yellow dominant? Go ahead, write it there. Pause if you need more time. 2, we always see the dominant gene. Remember, it's the loud friend, but there could be a hidden recessive. So what do we call a pair of alleles, so those letters, where one is dominant and one is recessive? We've been giving it a fancy name. We talked about it on many slides before. Question 3, what do we know about yellow pea pods genetically? Meaning, if you had to give them letters and assign a term, dominant, heterozygous, hybrid, recessive, based on this symbol, what do we know about these yellow pea pods? Okay, so phenotype and genotype, our reminder is up there. Again, phenotype is the physical appearance. We can even add the word appearance. And the genotype is the genetic makeup. So those allele pairs with the letters. So capital G, lowercase g, or lowercase g. Those would all be examples of genotypes. So for reference, our green was capital G, our yellow was lowercase g. What is the phenotype of the yellow pea pods? This sounds like a trick question. It isn't. Go ahead and answer in your slides. We'll go over it tomorrow. Number 2, what would be the genotype of yellow pea pods? So remember, genotype is the genetic. Give me some allele pairs. For the yellow pea pods, there's a hint for you there. Lastly, what do we know about a green pod? Use capital or lowercase g. What is its phenotype? If it's a green pod, use this as your hint. And what is its genotype? Again, kind of a trick question. You might have more than one answer for a couple of these. We will go over these tomorrow. So, a little recap. All recessive traits have the same phenotype and genotype. So, if you have blue eyes, for example, if I can type this, the phenotype is blue, meaning the way they look, and the genotype is little b, which is only blue. That's the magic of recessive traits. Their phenotype and genotype will match. If you have brown eyes, the phenotype is brown. That's what they look like. But the genotype could be heterozygous, where we have a dominant brown and a recessive blue, but it looks brown, or 2 genes for dominant brown eyes. So we can only see the phenotype up here of all dominants. We don't know the genotype until we look at the DNA or do a Punnett Square. 2 identical alleles for the same trait, meaning 2 capitals or 2 lowercases, are called homozygous. So we know homo, the prefix, means same. And zygous, remember homologous chromosomes? Those were the same chromosomes in the same spot in the zygote. Zygous is egg. So homozygous is same egg. Remember, a zygote is a fertilized egg. So 2 capitals, 2 of the same letter, that's a homozygous. 2 lowercases, also homozygous. The opposite we've already been talking about, one of each allele, is called heterozygous, because remember, hetero means mixed, so this would be a mixed zygote, and it's genetically a hybrid, so a capital and a lowercase, a dominant and recessive. That's why those are called hetero, and those are called homozygous. And when you're ready, you will finally understand this joke at the very end. Heterozygotes, just allele uneven. Okay, so we have made it to the end of these notes. Go ahead and make sure you go back and answer any questions. We will go over those Punnett squares and keep practicing with those next week. All right, you are done with your homework. Good work.